Just wanted to give you an update here on the Philadelphia situation. I'm the kicker for the Philadelphia Soul. Just wanted to give you an update here on the Philadelphia situation. I'm the kicker for the Philadelphia Soul. I'm just at the airport now. I'm at Philadelphia International. I'm on my way home from the airport because I didn't. I got to the airport. I got to the gate. There was maybe one or two players there. There was no coaches. There was no staff. We're supposed to be playing the Louisiana Voodoo tomorrow night in the first game of the AFL season, but that doesn't seem to be happening, at least not from my perspective. So I just want to let everyone know, because I know my mom was trying to call me there and my dad and stuff. So yeah, we didn't get on the airplane. We didn't hear anything from the coaches. We didn't hear anything from the ownership. We didn't hear anything from the GMs. I texted the GM.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Arena STL, where here we discuss the Arena Football League. Boy, week one had some interesting stuff, both good, bad, and ugly. It's great to have you here this evening. We got a lot to talk about here. Going solo here, no guests tonight because of all the stuff we need to talk about here for week one of the Arena Football League. There was a lot of things to talk about here. Yeah, Jared, I have red flags when AFL said they had 60 teams in their first season. Yeah, I think, though, it just... There we go. Sorry about that. This had drama right before here, because that's what we're going to discuss here first, and that is, of course, before games trouble. Now, before the Philadelphia situation, there was some stuff that, remember, week one, they were supposed to have games broadcasted on the NFL Network. And then right beforehand, for some reason, they were on the schedule program on Spectrum, YouTube TV, all those. Then all of a sudden, they disappeared, and they were actually promoted on the NFL Media X page. And it just, people were wondering, wait, what's going on here? You guys are supposed to be broadcasting here, and then also with the gray television suits. And apparently, it's not, the people said that it wasn't actually between the AFL and the NFL Network. It was the AFL and gray with some production things, scheduling and all that, which was kind of confusing since they had this agreement about for a month. So it's okay, what's going on here? And then they announced that most of the games, not all the games, would be on the Vyre app, spelled Vyre. And that's, of course, had the first game of Orlando versus Albany Firebirds. Of get to that in a moment. That was the first trouble that happened. Then, I swear, those of you that saw last week's episode with me with Zach Hillman, head coach Pat Pimble of the Soul has the worst luck I have ever seen. He's from here in St. Louis. He first was here taking over for the St. Louis attack in the mid-2010s. Then, for those that remember, before the XFL started in 2020, he was going to be the National Gridiron head coach of the St. Louis Stampede here. That turned out to be a scam. Then, when the AFL got together, he was actually, and I said it here, he actually said it in the AFL podcast, that he was actually going to be the head coach of the Arena Football League team here in St. Louis. Then something happened with delays, and I explained, along with Zach, it looks like because of renovations to the family arena and probably find the right owner. Then he became the sorry about that. And then everything was seen to go good and well. Then all of a sudden we kept getting reports, and then he resigned, players weren't getting paid, staff, trainers, and apparently they were getting kicked out of the hotel of a $25,000 bill. Kicking out, police had to be called. some things like trying to negotiate to get their stuff out of there. And it was like, wait a minute, are these people even going to be playing against the Voodoo here in Louisiana? And don't forget, Louisiana Voodoo already had problems already that before week one, they actually had to move arenas 70 miles apart. So it's like, okay, what the heck is going on? And it's just like, what is going on here? Then the video, if I show you here, I will play it here.
Just wanted to give you an update here on the Philadelphia situation. I'm the kicker for the Philadelphia Soul. I'm just at the airport now. I'm at Philadelphia International. I'm on my way home from the airport because I didn't. I got to the airport. I got to the gate. There was maybe one or two players there. There was no coaches. There was no staff. We're supposed to be playing the Louisiana Voodoo tomorrow night in the first game of the AFL season, but that doesn't seem to be happening, at least not from my perspective. So I just want to let everyone know, because I know my mom was trying to call me there and my dad and stuff. So yeah, we didn't get on the airplane. We didn't hear anything from the coach. We didn't hear anything from the ownership. We didn't hear anything from the GMs. I texted the GM a bunch of times to kind of see what's happening. I didn't have anyone else's number. Our head coach was not there. He unfortunately had to retire/quit the other day. Didn't really know the new head coach, who was just appointed that day because we didn't really have a practice either. We had a bit of a run through again for a bunch of different reasons. So yeah, I'm still in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and then come to find out that those players that were currently on the Philadelphia Soul roster were released, and then it showed that they had a new head coach, Tyrone Washington, who actually is the owner of the Dallas Falcons in the American Arena League, not just the American Arena League, their 2 program, which is below them, kind of like the minor league. Okay, don't know where the balloons came from. And it's like, okay, and then it's like, it's amazing. It's like bringing back to the NFL back when the Washington Redskins had those replacement player situations, because they had a whole other team take over for those. Sorry about that. So, like I said, they had replacement players, had a whole other semi-pro arena team taking over for the Philadelphia Soul. I couldn't find a picture, but they had their starting center, and dear Lord, he looked like I was my freshman year of high school. Okay, don't know why there's fireworks back there. Sounds like AM problems with the Arena Football League. Jared, trust me, this is common in Arena Football. Heck, right before the broadcast, the Cedar Rapids team had just had players post videos of their homes, the places they were staying, with holes in the walls and all that stuff. It was like, oh, dear Lord. This is where I would play the clip of that one scene from George of the Jungle. It's like, now it's time to laugh. Put our heads on the left. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and laugh here. But this is in no laughing matter, guys. No laughing matter. But there were some positives, some negatives to this. And it's just like, what is going on here? Because remember, the Arena Football League said they are the standard. They are now the new standard. And as you can see, unlike with the current thing with the UFL, not all the franchises are not the same. Tale of Two Cities, reference, so on and so forth. It's just actually amazing what's going on here. And so far, the commissioner has not said anything of it. He's supposed to this Thursday, though for some reason it's scheduled at 10 p.m., but it might be sort of about all of this with the Philadelphia Soul. But there has been some other problems too. In fact, one of the problems here, I'll show you, because that game itself for the week 1 games, 2 were not broadcasted on video, but the second one, I'll get them up. But let's just talk about first game here. Philadelphia Soul versus, well, let me be clear, Philadelphia Soul versus Louisiana Voodoo. And here's the one thing that came up right here. Load it up here. If you didn't see, the field goal posts were not leveled at all in the nets. They barely had enough time, like I said, a week, and they couldn't get this fixed. Not looking good again. Really not looking good. And then during the whole game, of course, it wasn't surprising. Week 1, the Louisiana Voodoo beat the Philadelphia Soul. Once again, Soul. 53-18. And the coach, I saw some press conference and comments him on an article saying, we did really good preparing the team and all that. But to be honest, can you really take much credit on beating a team that was put together in less than a day? Not really. I think not. It's just so weird about that whole situation there. Really, really, really. I'm just hoping pretty soon that they would get their act together a little bit. Take a little commercial break here. We'll break down the other week 1 games here.
Houston, we've triumphed. I've made it back to Earth with the cargo intact. The game-changing, time-sensitive payload is none other than the revolutionary energy flavor we've all been waiting for. Introducing Merc Mayhem Cherry Limeade. Merc Clan played a crucial role in securing this energy flavor, and together we've unlocked the future of power. Merc Mayhem is not just a drink, it's a statement, a fusion of relentless energy and bold flavor. The secret is out. Merc Mayhem is set to redefine the energy landscape, leaving ordinary drinks in its cosmic dust. Get ready for a taste explosion that matches Merc Clan's unparalleled power. Join the revolution, and let's unleash Merc Mayhem upon the world. Astronaut M signing off.
Welcome back. Now, there was another game that was not broadcasted. That was the Nashville Cats versus the Minnesota Myth. Bright side, though, you could sorry about that again with connection issues. You could listen to it on 102.5 The Game. Seriously, I don't know why it's happening. I apologize for that. On 102.5 The Game. And it's drastic contrast. Like I said, what's happened with Louisiana, Philadelphia, compare that to what's at the Nashville one right here. Stark contrast, isn't it? You could tell who's actually being very professional, regulated, and all that. And the other one, not really. Let's take a look at those two comparisons once again. See the difference? Like, us here in St. Louis, like, we kind of have a little grief with little Jeff Fisher, but I'll give him this. Him and the people with the Nashville Cats know how to run an organization. Really, they know how to run an organization. Professional with their website, social media, getting into the community, mascot, dancers, all that. Hopefully, wish nothing them but the success here. And they actually had a decent crowd, too, of attendance of 5,704. That's really... Oh, dear Lord. Now, the star player of them for the Cats was Roman Atkins, 8 for 14, 161, 4 touchdowns to 4 different receivers. And it was not a close game. This was so one-sided, it's not even fun against the Myth. 234 with the Nashville Cats and 74 to the Myth. So one-sided for week 1 action here. And the thing is, though, one of them right after, excuse me, one of the players that actually caught one of the touchdowns for the Nashville Cats actually signed an NFL contract. So congrats to him to go into the 49ers. Hold on here. Where was his name? I had it here. Brayton Hawley. There we go. Wide receiver linebacker. So good luck to him. So far, that's three of AFL players this week that have signed to NFL contracts. Very impressive, actually, during draft weekend. And that's like good positive. Like we're getting better there. We started at a low hope. We're going a little bit higher there. So that's all in good. Then the thing is, now we're getting to the streaming games here. Like I said, none of them were on NFL Network. NFL Network, they're on the Vire app, or go to AFL.com and do their live thing. Another problem I have with the AFL thing. The positive is you're able to go to whatever game you want, switch over, good at that, and had a chat. One thing that the AFL needs to do is hire better moderators because, dear Lord, they did not know how to police that thing, and it got crazy there real quick. You log in by putting your name in and also your email, so you can log in that security thing, blah, 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 blah. Kind of similar to the streams you had to do with the Canadian Football League. And boy, not good. Heck, even there was a person impersonating the commissioner, Lee Hutton III, and of course that wasn't him. And let's just say there was mean comments, not even talking about the game, like a lot of troll type behavior, and also just plain out racism, which was like, oh dear Lord, they need to get this fixed. It's not good, man. Yeah, they kind of are in a way. Maybe some of the good teams need to go to the IFL. I don't know. We'll see. The IFL had their own problem with their fighting with fans in the stands, though the commissioner just actually did a little bit of a comment thing about that and to say that won't ever happen again. Of course, like I said, for Lee Hutton hasn't said anything about the situations here. It looks like until Thursday, but we'll get to more of that a little bit. Next game we had is the Montana Billings versus the Wichita Regulators. Another one-sided game, 66-26, 2,119 in attendance. Billings quarterback Isaac Harker had 7 passing touchdowns at the half, 41-6. Like I said, not a complete one-sided game. And if you saw last week, me and Zach said that the Regulators didn't really have the best roster. And it proved that on that point. Though I will say this one had a very good stream to it. And with this, I'm going by how streams are, because there were some good ones and bad ones. Had some professionalism, had some ads and stuff. Very good. I'll say that's a good positive point. Then you had next the Iowa Rampage, one of the newer franchises with the Arena Football League, against the Rapid City Marshals. Rapid City Marshals doing more research, finding out they haven't won a game in their franchise history for the almost 2 years. Let me say that again. 2 years. Last time they won a game was May 30th, 2022. That was the last time that they won a game. So we're close to 2 years, a month away until this is getting to like almost a third of the Roman Reigns title reign in WWE. It's like, wow. And they keep continuing, as again, when the Iowa Rampage, which I have said had built a lot of experience up front, and beat the Rapid City Marshals 58-28. But like I said, good stream. The one complaint I have about Rapid City, they were very good with like the ads, the fan engagement stuff. They even had a little bit of small cards during halftime. Took a little bit long for my taste, like very, very long. But overall, starting off good and all that. Now we're doing another bad deal here. Next game, we got a rematch of the preseason game with the Oregon Black Bears and the Washington Wolfpack. Last game, Oregon Black Bears won 24-22 over the Washington Wolfpack. Close game here, very competitive. But the stream, dear Lord, this is probably one of the first few streams I have seen in a while where the play-by-play guy was calling plays on the field and doing commentary at the exact same time. And then a lot of bit of a safety issue here is that Oregon plays in their fairgrounds building. You know how counties have like their county fairs and stuff, like the rodeos and stuff. And then looking around, you see that the railings, the padding and stuff that goes around the arena where like the players like bounce off, go this way or that way, or tackled. There was no padding. It was like those rail gates you see at concerts, wrapped around like the ad stuff that you see on arena games. I was like, that cannot feel good. And another thing too is the netting. They were leveled and all that, and they just that you couldn't see them. They were all black, and according to Arena Football League regulations, and I have read the rule book, they were supposed to be in yellow. You couldn't really see it. Not at all. Apologize for that. Don't know why you're having this many connection problems. Last week we had no problems. And all I have to say is getting those two teams on the field, very good game. Going to be interesting who wins the West here between those two. They're going to have a rematch here in a few weeks. Now, the final Saturday game, which is the best game of them all, was the first game on the Viry app. And honestly, if this was on the NFL Network, this would have been like a good crown jewel type of achievement for the Arena Football League for this. That would be, of course, the Orlando Predators versus the Albany Firebirds, two franchises that existed in the original Arena Football League. Attendance, 4,784. Very good. Very professional. As I said, probably the best stream out of all the 8 games of week 1. Drew Bow for Orlando. He was throwing dimes all over the place. Game, like I said, game had everything. Special team scores, drop kick scores, deuce scores, everything. Though it got like such a good game to it, we went to overtime, and the Albany Firebirds got through it 62-59. But there's a problem. Because some of us looked over the rule book, and how overtime was played in a game is how it was not supposed to be. They did it kind of like the format with the NFL, which is sudden death, whoever scores first wins, going on the field, doing offense, defensive plays, and such. But that's not how it was supposed to be done. Overtime, it's supposed to be done. Kickoff situation, try to hit deuce points, which is the kicker from kickoff, hitting it through the uprights to score the 2 points. If he doesn't, then the other team can return the ball and see if he can score a touchdown and such and call the end to the game. And that's supposed to go back and forth until they score points. That wasn't done. Who knows about that? But overall, the best game of week 1, and one of the great things that happened for the AFL in week 1. Then you go to the Sunday games, only 2. You got, of course, first West Texas versus the Georgia Force. Now, the Georgia Force has a kind of similar situation with the Philadelphia Soul, which is the ownership, because Philadelphia Soul had the ownership. Then close to the season, they backed out. Georgia Force doesn't have ownership either, but it's like, how's this going to work? They still got coaches. They got all their players, let me be clear. Everything all good there on that front. Stream was good. West Texas won 51-28. Excuse me. Jonathan Baines threw for 4 touchdowns with the West Texas. Georgia Force, even though it was 51-28, there was a lot of times that Georgia Force could get in there, but either penalties or just miscues cost them. I don't know. The Georgia Force quarterback, Kivion Taylor, doesn't have much arena ball experience, and it looks like Georgia Force's offensive game plan was basically get the ball, get protected much, and just chuck it down the field to your fastest wide receiver as possible. Every play, it would just seem like that again and again and again. I was like, okay, I know he's tall, but you need to get the guys some more chance in order to do this. But as I said before, 51-28, West Texas, though there is a little bit of controversy. West Texas, coming out, apparently is getting sued by their former league, the National Arena League, for breach of contract and a non-compete clause right there. There was even a chance that this game might not have been played this weekend. But the judge couldn't rule on there, so they were able to play. So now the question is, will they even be able to play in week 2 because of a judge's decision to see if they have to stop in order to deal with this lawsuit, deal with breach of contract with the National Arena League? Because according to that contract, there's a non-compete till 2027. Interesting stuff. Welcome to Arena Ball, folks. Then we got the final game between the Salina Liberty between the Salina Liberty and the Southwest Kansas Storm. Final game had, like I said, very good stream. Interesting to know, 2 hours before the game, the starting center for the Kansas Storm actually signed with the New Orleans Saints. There were pictures going around, congratulations, and because of it, he didn't play because, well, you just signed with the New Orleans Saints. Why do you want to play in order to risk being injured? So Desmond Bland, congratulations, getting signed to New Orleans. It's interesting because it was only a 3-point game for this, and it's kind of wondering if he was able to start, would there be a difference? And this game was like, first it started with Liberty scoring and Southwest Kansas Storm going this way and that way. It just kept going back and forth with Salina just always having the lead, and right at the end it just stopped the comeback for the Storm because it came right to the end. And one thing that me and Zach said is that Southwest Kansas could be a big surprise in the Central Division and the league, and they proved that even with a backup center. Very surprising. Just very surprising. That concludes the Week 1 games. Now, after the Week 1 games, as you said, they were going to try to discuss the trouble, Philadelphia and so and stuff. And the AFL podcast had an episode that came out yesterday. Interesting enough, as of right now, that has suddenly disappeared. In that podcast, they actually had the owner of the Oregon Black Bears. Now, once again, that was the team that I mentioned earlier, that they didn't have like the proper padding stands going around, so to have players with safety precautions, and of course the netting that's supposed to be yellow and seen. Like, it's still good. It's just that you couldn't see it. And by regulations by the Arena Football League rulebook, they are supposed to be yellow. He came on there just like saying like stuff like this is a learning process. They originally had stuff to do it, but apparently it has to go in concrete and stuff. It's like, and how the arena that they're playing in, because the Oregon arena that they play in has a very low roof. Like, it's like, I'm like, when he says this, I'm like, you didn't think of this beforehand. You didn't get like people like measure this or confirm what you actually needed and stuff. Then he goes on to like it's like a financing, trying to make as much as you can. They're like one of the lowest ticket prices in the league. I believe their lowest is $20, at the highest $40 when it comes to Oregon Black Bear tickets. It's like I said, Arena Football League it's like tale of two cities with the franchise. You got some good ones, some ones, and ugly ones as of right now. Not all of them are the same. And it's just like, it's like you had time to do this. And like, myself and even other people following the arena, like even Tim Capper from arenafan.com, a place I recommend following, and follow him, he didn't buy those excuses either. And just like, it's like, come on, like, you could do better. Because like I said, the padding and the stuff that goes around the field, that's important, because you don't want your players to get injured and all that stuff, because players, that's your investment. And also, you need to take care of your investment. That's how it's supposed to go. Then, of course, because of all the controversies, Philadelphia, so how Louisiana before the game, then during the game, with all that stuff. Then, of course, the stuff with the interview with the Oregon Black Bear owner. The host of the Arena Football podcast, came with, a certain tone to the audience, saying, if you're the people, there's some people on here that just want the world to burn, quote from, of course, from The Dark Knight with the Joker. And it's like, you're assuming this when there's people legitimately criticizing your league with concerns. Like, we want the league to do well, but this is how you're supposed to do it. I don't know what it is. And apparently in this day and age, whenever there's legit criticism, you're either called a hater, so on and so forth. I think it's the worst thing ever. Don't listen. It's the worst thing, even though it's good, legitimate criticism. Do people not take criticism anymore? They just take it as an insult and just don't want to listen to people. It's like my way or the highway. I don't know. It's just really weird to me. I don't know. Leave your comments if you have any questions anymore about this with week 1 before we go into week 2. Take a little bit of a commercial break here before we go down to week 2.
Same great taste. Yes, same great taste. Same great taste.
Welcome back. Boy, like I said, week 1 is now in the books. We're now waiting before week 2 of what the commissioner's going to say about the stuff that happened during week 1. So far, it looks like the games that were going to be on NFL Network on week 2 are, which is good, but let's just have our fingers crossed just a little bit, shall we? Because now, every week, instead of how week 1 was all the games are on 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, they're now spread apart to give us a little bit to breathe. Games are now on Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And week 2 it's actually probably one of the best games to start on NFL Network. On Thursday at 8 o'clock, I believe EST, so 7 Central. I could be wrong. I apologize if I am. The Nashville Cats go to Albany to face the Firebirds. 2 undefeated teams that put on a show for their home crowds in week 1. And this, like I said, this should be a good competitive game. I expect it to come close. Week 1 picks between me and Zach Hillman last week. I was 5-3. He was 7-1. Of course, the one that we both got wrong because we choose a silver to voodoo. That was, of course, before what happened. But this week here, with the first game on NFL Network, I believe the Albany Firebirds will win in a close matchup in week 2 to start on the NFL Network. Next games on Saturday evening, we have 3. First, we have the Iowa Rampage versus Southwest Kansas Storm in the Central Division. Southwest Kansas Storm was pretty close to being on, on Saline Liberty, and I think this will be a close game. Iowa Rampage over to Southwest Kansas Storm. This game, of course, will not be on NFL Network. This will be on Gray Television, more likely on the Viry app like most of the games we had last week. Then we have the Billings Outlaws and Oregon Black Bears. Once again, it'll be at the Oregon Black Bears. So it's going to be interesting if there's been some improvements from week 1 to week 2 when it comes to stuff on the other side there. We'll have to see, because one thing I failed to mention, he said that they might not be able to get the stuff that goes around with the paddock and stuff for about 2 months. We'll see. And I'm going to choose for this game here, Billings over the Oregon Bears. I just like Billings over the Bears just a bit more, even though I like the front for the Iowa Rampage. Next game, we have, once again, in Louisiana, the Georgia Force and the Louisiana Voodoo. 2 teams, once again, that one does not have an owner. Louisiana Voodoo, they have an owner, but have yet to reveal themselves, which is kind of an interesting mystery. Don't know why he, she, or they chose to do this. But after the whole thing, because remember, they moved to a different arena, 70 miles apart, and now play at a facility at the University of Louisiana Lafayette, the Raging Cajuns. One thing, too, is though students, faculty for Louisiana Lafayette University actually get free tickets to the game. So be interesting to see how the attendance improves from week 1 to week 2 for this game. For this game, honestly, because the Georgia Force, their quarterback, all he does is just waits protection in the pocket and stuff and just chucks it down the field to a wide receiver downfield. That's it. And I'm just going to go that Louisiana Voodoo have a better game plan to stop that. The quarterback for the Force might get better, but we'll have to see. Next game, the West Texas Desert Hawks at the Orlando Predators. This is an NFL Network game and for Sunday, and this is possibly a matchup that could be in the Arena Bowl this year. West Texas, coming off the game there, we'll see if, this will be at Orlando, so if there's a problem, they should still be able to play, but we have to see. Like I said, that lawsuit came out of nowhere, and it's kind of interesting to see if they'll be able to have that game this weekend. For this game, I'm choosing Orlando. They were so close on beating the Albany Firebirds. Drew Powell is so talented, both running and throwing the ball. Like I said, throwing a lot of dimes in that game against the Firebirds. I expect Orlando to have their pickup game victory and win this. Then you have the Rapid City Marshals against the Washington Wolfpack. This will be on television, great, possibly Viry app, and most likely most games will be on the arenafootballusa.com. This game, West Division, the question is, will the Rapid City Marshals get their first victory in almost 2 years? My answer to that is no. They're going to go to Everett, Washington, and Washington Wolfpack are going to come and get their first victory in franchise history. It's just going to continue because, honestly, I just don't know. Rapid City just doesn't have the roster, in my opinion, to compete with the Washington Wolfpack. Then another game for Sunday, the Philadelphia Soul at the Minnesota Myth. NFL Network game, of course. Let me be clear. The Philadelphia Soul, with all the replacement players, go to the Target Center against the Minnesota Myth, which, of course, is owned by the commissioner's wife. So, and another thing, too, is the Myth just announced their roster yesterday officially. Kind of late, but okay. And I honestly expect the Myth to beat this Philadelphia. So, because once again, a team that hasn't played that long or go to the level of competition before, because they're all semi-pro when it comes to arena type of players. Man. Then finally, for week 2, we have the Salina Liberty versus the Wichita Regulators. These two have faced each other before in the Champions Indoor Football League and part of Central Division. This game is more likely going to be on Arena Football USA and the Viry app. Monday at 7, you doubt you're going to be on the NFL Network, and it won't be. This game here, I'm going with Salina because, like I said before, Wichita, when it comes to their roster, is one of the lowest ranking in this league. And it's just that, like, you hope Wichita could surprise us here. They could, but I just don't believe they can. I just don't. I really just don't. That goes up for the week 2 games. Now, like I said before, this week was the show episode title called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I hope this league gets better. I really do. Because here's the thing, though. Like, I'm hoping because us here in St. Louis, we almost got a team. And here's the thing. If we get the right ownership, the team will succeed. If we get ownership that's similar to a few of the teams that are playing right now, it's not going to be. Because I'm actually, the last owner is kind of like that. As you can see, I'm wearing the St. Louis Bandits gear right now. Another one, which had an owner and head coach say one thing when there was something happening behind the scenes, because second season he said, hey, we're going to be back in the family arena. Then through sources coming back to me is like, the family arena ain't having them back. And then he said, like, we're still finding a place to play and stuff and so on. And then just disappeared. Just disappeared. Disappointing. I actually like the logo and the colors. They're similar to my high school colors at Herculaneum. But I just don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see here. And I really hope that Commissioner Lee Hutton III explains the stuff that really happened here. He needs to, because they got a lot of bad press from last week. Not just like, heck, the Pro Football Talk came in art about it, saying that week 1 was a thud. Even Pat McAfee, when he heard the story about the Philadelphia, so what happened to the players, $25,000 bill, couldn't get their stuff from the hotel, police were called, so on and so forth. It's just, man. Yeah, Derek got a poof, gone when it came to the Bandits. It just, like, he needs to answer some of this. And like I said before, the episode of Arena Football League podcast that came out yesterday, that's also too gone. Especially because Zach Keelman, when he criticized League 2 earlier about their PR, and I think whoever their PR sorry about that again. maybe they're finally starting to get. Hopefully, and also my connection too, because this did not happen last week. Sorry about that once again. Because in order for this league to succeed, they need to do better. Show some stability, some positivity, and good stuff. So in order to, because remember, they're supposed to have 2 new teams next year, along with another 2. They want to start getting the audience to come back to watching the Arena Football League because they're not the only game in town. You have the Indoor Football League, the AIF, which, of course, are both having their own problems, like I said before. Right before, the AIF had problems with one team in Cedar Rapids with housing conditions, with holes in the wall. And then, of course, the Indoor Football League with that fight with the San Diego course, that's all dealt with, so that's how the professional way to do it. Like I said, Arena Football World, never a dull moment and always fun, both chaotic and fun. That's one reason I like it. It just is. So that'll be it for this week's episode of Arena STL. Depending on, I could have a special depending on what the commissioner says, but maybe go that for next Tuesday, which I am planning to have a guest, so be able to discuss both the positives and maybe find some other ways. What's some positive other ways for it to be better, the Arena Football League? Because this is their third go. Because 5 years ago, declared bankruptcy. Of course, back then they only had 4 teams. One of them, of course, was still the Philadelphia Soul. And now the question is, next season, will that team be in existence or will that team move and be rebranded? Because that's common in Arena League. Even us here in St. Louis, because we had rebrand after rebrand after rebrand when it came to arena teams for the longest time. Because they just changed owners, rebrand every 2 to 3 seasons. And it's kind of hard to gather a fan base when you just change something like, great, I have to buy new merch again. And also, too, hopefully my connection's better next week. Only had one problem last week. But then again, we'll just have to see. Once again, thank you for joining me this evening, and see you next Tuesday.